My name is Lena Lee, 20 years old from suburban Slidell, Louisiana. I thought I knew who I was, a quiet girl from a quiet Louisiana town. But the day I saw a famous actress on TV with my exact face, everything unraveled. What I uncovered next. It wasn't just a lie. It was a stolen life, and I was about to take it back. Before we dive into this unbelievable true story, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping narration stories just like this one. Hit that bell so you never miss a twist. Now, let me tell you how I uncovered a secret so big, it changed everything I thought I knew about my family. Our house sat at the bend of Cypress Lane, just before the road curved back into pine woods and swampland. From the outside, it looked like the picture of Southern charm: white shutters, a porch swing, wind chimes that jingled in the thick Louisiana air. But inside, everything was brittle, quiet, and tightly wound, like a rubber band stretched too far. I was Lena Broussard, just another girl in Slidell. Brown hair, quiet in school, always polite. People thought I was lucky. My mama, Charlene, ran a daycare from home, always smiling at church. My daddy, Bo, worked construction and kept to himself. No one saw how he snapped when the kitchen towel was out of place. No one heard Charlene hiss through clenched teeth, "Don't embarrass us, Lena." I learned early not to ask too many questions. Especially not about where I came from. I wasn't stupid. I'd known I was adopted for as long as I could remember. My birth certificate had a fold that never flattened, and my last name was written in pen on top of whiteout. But any time I asked about it, once when I was 10, again at 13, Charlene would shut it down with the same line: "Your real mama didn't want you. Be glad we did." She never raised her voice. That was worse. Her calmness cut deeper than shouting. Like my existence was something she tolerated, not something she chose. Bo never talked about it at all. Just grunted or slammed the back door when things got too emotional. Even at school, there were signs I didn't quite belong. Field trip forms missing parent signatures. No baby pictures to bring in for first grade show and tell. One time, a substitute teacher asked us to trace our family tree. I lied and filled it with names I pulled off a tombstone in the cemetery near Old Spanish Trail. People in town liked to pretend we were normal. The Broussards came to every crawfish boil, every Sunday sermon. But no one ever came over. Charlene didn't like people in her space. And when I turned 18 and asked to see my adoption papers, she said they'd been lost in a house fire we'd never had. I wasn't just raised in a lie, I was expected to stay silent inside it. Still, something deep in me refused to go numb. At night, I'd lie awake and stare at the ceiling fan spinning in lazy circles and wonder, who gave birth to me? What did she look like? Did she wonder where I was? Did she miss me? The questions never left me, they just waited for the right moment to claw their way to the surface. And one summer afternoon, sitting on the couch with my best friend and a bowl of popcorn, I saw her, my face, on the TV screen, and from that moment on, nothing in my life would ever be the same. It was just supposed to be background noise. Kira and I were lounging in the living room, killing the thick Louisiana heat with lemonade and half a bag of popcorn, flipping through channels. We'd already watched too many reruns and were about to head out when she paused on one of those flashy daytime talk shows. A celebrity guest had just walked on stage, long auburn hair, sun-kissed skin, hazel eyes, and a sharp laugh that hit something in my chest like a tuning fork. Her name flashed on the bottom of the screen in bold gold letters: Savannah Lee, actress, producer, advocate. "Oh my God, I love her," Kira said. "She was in that lawyer show, what was it called? Jury Fire or something?" I couldn't answer. I was staring at the screen like I'd seen a ghost. There was something about her smile. The way her dimple appeared on the left side when she laughed. The shape of her nose. The arch of her brow. The voice, strong, a little raspy, southern but polished. "She looks like you," Kira blurted. "Wait, she really looks like you." I nodded slowly, my throat suddenly dry. I couldn't stop looking. Not just because Savannah Lee was famous, but because every inch of her face felt unsettlingly familiar. Like I'd seen it before, not on TV, but in the mirror. The resemblance was eerie, and not in the way people say strangers look alike. this was deeper. Like my DNA was staring back at me, Charlene had always insisted my birth mother was nobody special. Said she'd run off the moment she found out she was pregnant. That I was abandoned. Left behind, but Savannah Lee wasn't a nobody. She was someone the whole world knew. I grabbed my phone and Googled her. Savannah Lee. Born in Georgia, raised in Mississippi, started acting at 19. She was private, never married, no public children, no scandal. But I found one blurry tabloid photo from 2003. She was maybe 18 or 19. Pregnant. Alone. No father mentioned. No baby ever talked about again, and in that photo, just barely, you could see it, the same dimple, the same eyes. Kira leaned in. Lena, do you think? I didn't let her finish. I closed my phone, heart thudding so loud I could barely hear the TV. A weird nausea settled low in my stomach. It's probably nothing, I said quickly. Just a weird coincidence. But we both knew I didn't believe that. Something had cracked open. Something that had been sealed up tight my whole life. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up Googling Savannah Lee's early interviews, grainy yearbook photos, hospital news archives. Anything I could find, because deep down, beneath the fear, beneath the disbelief, I felt it. This wasn't a coincidence. This was the beginning of the truth. I waited until Charlene and Beau were asleep, tiptoeing through the creaky hallway like I was still 15. I slid the tiny package from beneath the loose floorboard under my bed, the one I used to hide birthday money and stolen candy from the daycare. Inside was the DNA test kit I'd ordered under a fake name, Elena B., delivery sent to Kira's place. Paid with cash, it wasn't just a precaution. In my house, curiosity wasn't safe, it was punished. The instructions were simple. Spit, seal, send, but the act of sealing that tube felt enormous. Like I'd crossed a line I could never return from. I pressed the cap on until I heard the faint click. It sounded like a door locking shut behind me. I dropped the package at the post office first thing the next morning. My hands trembled the whole walk back, then came the waiting. Each day was agony, pretending everything was normal. Helping Charlene with snacks for the daycare kids. Listening to Beau yell at the TV. Smiling through church on Sunday like I wasn't unraveling inside. The email came exactly 17 days later. Your results are ready. I was in the backseat of my car behind Piggly Wiggly, engine off, palms sweaty against my phone. My stomach twisted as I tapped the screen. The page loaded. Parent/child relationship, Savannah Lee, 99.99% probability. I stared at the words for what felt like hours. Read them. Reread them. Blinked and read again. There was no mistake. The actress I'd watched for years. The woman I'd seen on billboards and red carpets. The stranger whose face matched mine like a reflection. She wasn't a look-alike, she was my mother. My hands started shaking. I dropped the phone in my lap and leaned forward, pressing my forehead against the steering wheel. My breath came out in gasps, half sob, half panic. What did this mean? Savannah Lee was my mother, which meant Charlene and Beau had lied. Not just a soft omission, but a deep, ugly lie wrapped in forged papers and cruel dismissals. And worse, Savannah never gave me up the way Charlene said. What if? What if I was taken? I drove straight to Kira's. Showed her the email. She gasped, then hugged me, whispering, I knew it. I knew it. But I didn't feel vindicated. I felt hollow. Like I'd been emptied out and filled with someone else's life. I had questions. Too many for Google to answer. Why did Savannah never look for me? Did she even know what happened? And what, exactly, had Charlene done? One thing was clear, I couldn't ignore this anymore. The truth was here now, living in my phone, pulsing like a secret heartbeat, and I was going to find out everything. I stared at the email draft for 3 straight hours before I sent it. To SavannahLeeContact@slsociety.com. Subject, I think I'm your daughter. I kept it short. Careful. No last name. No accusations. Just the truth, plain and terrifying. I told her I'd taken a DNA test, that I believed I was the baby she gave up 2 decades ago. I attached the results. I didn't expect anything back, 3 days later, I got the reply, from her personal assistant, Savannah would like to meet. Privately. Can you come to Baton Rouge this weekend? My stomach dropped. This was really happening. We met at a quiet boutique inn on the edge of the city, neutral ground. Kira came with me but stayed in the car. I walked into the private suite alone. Every step down the hallway felt heavier than the last. The door opened before I knocked. She stood there barefoot in jeans and a simple white blouse. No makeup. No lights or cameras. Just her, Savannah Lee. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at me. Her eyes, my eyes, flickered over my face like she was seeing a ghost. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're her." I nodded, throat too tight to speak. She stepped back slowly, motioned me in. We sat on opposite ends of the sofa, and for a moment, it was just the hum of the air conditioner between us. "I didn't know," she said finally, voice trembling. "They told me you were going to a closed, private adoption. They wouldn't even let me hold you." I stared at her. "Who's they?" "My parents. My manager. The agency. Everyone. I was 19. They thought a baby would ruin my career." She exhaled, eyes watering. "After you were born, they rushed me into a separate hospital room. When I woke up, you were gone." I clenched my hands in my lap. "You never tried to find me?" "I did," she said softly. "When my parents passed, I hired a private investigator. But the records were sealed. Tampered with. They told me there was no trail, like you'd vanished. I thought maybe you didn't want to be found." I pulled a folded paper from my bag, one of Charlene's adoption letters, obviously forged. Savannah took one look and gasped. Her fingers trembled as she scanned it. "This isn't real," she whispered. "This is a lie." I felt sick. "They never legally adopted me," I said. "They just took me. Built a life around it. Lied to everyone. Even me." Savannah covered her mouth, silent tears sliding down her cheeks. "I thought you abandoned me," I said quietly. Her hand reached for mine, tentatively. "I never would have left you. I didn't get the choice." We sat like that for a long time. No cameras. No handlers. Just two strangers in a quiet room, trying to stitch 20 years of silence into something resembling truth. And as I looked at her, really looked, I realized the woman I'd grown up thinking of as cold and distant wasn't my mother. This woman was. And someone had stolen her from me. When I stepped back into the Broussard house, everything felt colder, not because the AC was running. It was the weight of knowing what lived inside these walls. The soft beige paint, the outdated sofa, the baby pictures in crooked frames. All part of a lie. A set piece in a story Charlene and Beau had written for me, one where I never had a choice in the role I played, but that was over, now. I wanted answers. Not guesses. Not gut feelings. Proof. Charlene was out grocery shopping. Beau was at work. I had maybe 2 hours. I started with the hallway closet, the one Charlene always locked when guests came over. She once said it was just full of tax junk and expired coupons. But I remembered the sound the door made when she opened it at night after I was supposed to be asleep, soft, careful, like she didn't want anyone to hear. The key was still taped beneath the hallway mirror. She thought she was clever. I was more determined. Inside, it was a mess of manila folders, binders, and an old filing cabinet so rusted the drawers groaned when I tugged them open. I scanned labels, medical bills, taxes, insurance, nothing obvious, but at the very back, tucked behind an old high chair, I found a folder with my name on it, Lena Marie, hospital records. My hands trembled as I flipped it open. Inside were copies of what looked like official documents, birth certificates, discharge summaries, and a letter labeled adoption confirmation. But they were riddled with errors. The fonts didn't match. The hospital logo was outdated. The signatures looked identical. I looked closer. Beau's name was signed as Dr. Blake Morgan. My stomach turned. They hadn't just hidden the truth. They forged it. Every page was a piece of the puzzle: faked immunization records, a reprinted social security card, a forged notarization from a woman who, according to a quick online search, had died 5 years before it was signed. I dug deeper, finding receipts from when I was a toddler, dated years before their official adoption supposedly happened. One showed Charlene purchasing baby formula with my name written in marker across the receipt, and then a journal, Charlene's. Only a few pages were filled in. But one entry, dated the month after I was born, stopped my breath. She looks just like that girl on the screen. This baby could have had a life of fame and cameras. Not anymore. She's mine now. I slammed the folder shut, the bile rising in my throat. They didn't adopt me, they took me. They saw a vulnerable moment, a young mother pressured into silence, and snatched me like I was something to collect. My entire life had been built on forged documents and stolen time, and now, I had the proof. The woman who raised me wasn't my mother, she was the woman who stole me, and I was going to make sure the world knew it. Slidell's Founders Festival came every spring like clockwork. Crawfish boils, marching bands, and enough local gossip to fill 10 church bulletins. Charlene loved it. She never missed a chance to show off her perfect family to the neighbors. Especially with her daycare parents wandering around in full view, which made it the perfect place to shatter the illusion. Savannah and I agreed on a plan: no PR teams, no lawyers, no reporters. Just the truth, and a camera. The festival stretched across Heritage Park that year, crowded with booths, food trucks, and kids running wild on sun-warmed pavement. I wore a ball cap pulled low and carried a crossbody bag with a recording device tucked inside. Savannah, dressed down in sunglasses and a floral sundress, was nearly unrecognizable to the untrained eye. But anyone who looked closely would feel something electric about her: poise, beauty, presence. Even in disguise, she didn't blend in. "Are you sure about this?" she whispered as we waited near the playground. I nodded. She's about to walk into her own spotlight. We didn't have to wait long. Charlene strolled in like she owned the town, her hair curled stiff with hairspray, her smile wide as she waved to old PTA friends. When she saw me, her brows lifted with that thin, practiced warmth she wore in public. "There's my girl," she said. "Didn't know you were coming out." "I brought someone," I said evenly. Savannah stepped forward and pulled off her sunglasses. Charlene's face froze. Her eyes widened, just for a second, but it was enough. Enough to see the panic behind the pageant smile. Her mouth opened, then closed, like her brain was rebooting in real time. "Charlene Broussard," Savannah said calmly. "My name is Savannah Lee." The color drained from Charlene's cheeks. Savannah didn't wait. 20 years ago, I gave birth to a daughter I never held. I was told she went through a sealed adoption. That I'd never know her. That she was with a good family. People nearby began to glance over. One man lowered his funnel cake. A mother hushed her child. "And here she is," Savannah added, gesturing to me. "Right here, in your town, with your name, under your roof." Charlene's voice came out thin, breathless. You don't understand." "I understand exactly," I cut in, heart hammering. "You forged documents. You faked records. You stole me and lied to everyone. And now? Now, I have it all recorded." I tapped the strap of my bag, where the recorder blinked quietly. Charlene's hands clenched at her sides. For a split second, I saw something savage flash behind her eyes, rage and desperation twisted into one, but it was too late. People had gathered. A small crowd was watching. Someone even pulled out a phone. The Queen of the Founders Festival was cornered, and for the first time in her life, Charlene Broussard had nothing left to hide behind. The trap was set, and it had snapped shut. The story broke 2 days after the festival. Someone in the crowd had filmed everything: Savannah's reveal, Charlene stammering, my calm accusation. The video went viral before I even had time to breathe. By Monday morning, it was on the local news. By Wednesday, it was on national headlines: A-list actress finds long-lost daughter stolen in secret adoption. Small-town scandal: Louisiana couple accused of forging custody of star's child. Charlene and Beau were arrested the following Friday. They tried to play it cool when the officers showed up, Charlene offering fake hospitality, Bo claiming it was a misunderstanding, but the moment the cuffs clicked, their masks fell. I watched from across the street as they were led into separate squad cars. Charlene didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked at me with hollow fury. Like she couldn't believe I'd chosen someone else, but I hadn't chosen Savannah instead of them. I'd chosen the truth, and the truth was spreading fast. Investigators seized the files I had uncovered. The forged documents, Charlene's journal, the fake notary letters, it all painted a clear picture of a couple who had stolen a baby, built a lie around her, and kept her hidden for 2 decades. The daycare Charlene ran was shut down immediately. Parents were horrified, and then came the hardest part. Aaron, my younger brother. He showed up at my door the day after the arrests. He looked lost, barefoot on the porch, arms crossed tight over his chest like he was still trying to hold everything together. "Tell me this ain't real," he said. "Tell me it's just a mistake." I couldn't. I just handed him a folder, the same proof I'd handed the lawyers. He opened it with shaking fingers. After a few pages, he sat down on the porch step, breathing hard. "They told me we adopted you when I was a baby," he whispered. "Said your mom didn't want you. Said we saved you." I sat beside him. "They stole me, Aaron." He didn't speak for a long time. Then, "So what happens now? You gonna disappear with her? With the movie star?" I swallowed hard. "I don't know. But I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not living in their lie." He didn't say goodbye. Just stood and walked down the steps, his shadow stretching long across the yard. The town turned fast. Some people whispered that I was chasing attention, trying to ride Savannah's fame. Others called me brave. The media camped outside my house for a week straight. I ignored every knock on the door. I didn't need their opinions. The only truth that mattered was mine. The Broussards weren't my family, they were just the ones who stole me, and taught me how to lie with a smile. But now, the world knew who they really were, and I was finally becoming who I was meant to be. The first time I signed my new name, it didn't feel real. Lena Lee. It was elegant and simple. 2 syllables that finally belonged to me. Not the name forged on fake birth certificates. Not the lie printed on daycare rosters or whispered in church pews. This was mine. Truthful. Honest. A name stitched back into my skin like something I'd never stop earning. The paperwork went through quickly. Savannah's legal team made sure of that. She offered to cover everything, even offered for me to move in with her in Los Angeles. But I said no, I wasn't ready to be anyone's daughter. Not yet. Instead, I packed up what little I had and moved 2 hours west to Lafayette, where no one knew my story unless I told it. I found a small apartment above a bookstore and took a job shelving paperbacks in the mornings and wiping tables in the afternoons. It was humble, quiet, and for the first time in my life, mine. Savannah didn't push. She sent letters, care packages, sometimes flowers with cards that read, "I'm proud of you. Always here if you need me." She never signed them Mom. Just Savannah. It was perfect. We talked every Sunday. Sometimes about childhood memories, hers and mine, even though mine were fractured and stitched together with pain. Sometimes just about books, movies, the things we'd missed in each other's lives. Healing didn't happen overnight. Some days I still woke up expecting to hear Bo stomping through the kitchen. Or Charlene calling my name in that sharp, syrupy voice that always made me freeze. I'd flinch when the doorbell rang. I'd tense when I saw a woman with tightly curled hair and an old Bible tucked under her arm, but I was getting stronger. I started writing again, something I hadn't done since high school, when Charlene told me real girls don't waste time on make-believe. I filled 3 notebooks in 1 month. Poetry, mostly. About stolen things. About silence. About fire and rebirth. People in town began to know me, not as a tabloid girl, not as a stolen secret, but as Lena. The quiet, kind one who always tipped well and smiled at children. One day, while shelving biographies at the bookstore, I paused on a hardcover copy of Savannah Lee's memoir. Her face on the cover. My eyes in hers, I smiled, not because I wanted her fame, but because I finally understood the story behind that smile. She had survived her own betrayal. And now, I was surviving mine. I wasn't trying to erase what had happened. I was building something from it, brick by brick, page by page, and in this new life, this quiet, honest life, I wasn't Lena Broussard anymore, I was Lena Lee. And for the first time, I finally belonged to myself. Sometimes I still wake up thinking I'm in the old house on Cypress Lane. For a split second, I expect to hear the distant rattle of Charlene's cooking pots or Beau cursing the television. But then the morning light spills through the gauzy curtains of my little Lafayette apartment, soft and clean, and I remember that life is gone. The girl who lived there, silent, scared, small, is gone too. It's strange what you mourn when your world breaks open. I didn't just lose the people who raised me. I lost the lie they wrapped around me. The sense of belonging I thought I had, the safety that turned out to be a cage, but in losing it, I found everything they tried to bury: my name, my story, my mother, not the woman who clipped coupons and forged birth certificates, but the one who cried when she saw me for the first time in 20 years. The one who thought she'd never get the chance. Savannah and I aren't picture perfect. We're cautious with each other, two women learning how to exist in a relationship built on truth, not time. But there's love between us. Quiet, patient love. That matters more than any headline ever printed. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry. The truth, I was furious, for all the birthdays spent in silence. For the baby books I never had. For the fear I carried like second skin. But that fury was a fire, and fire burns everything, even the good, so I let it go, because in the end, revenge didn't come from lawyers or prison cells, it came from the truth. The truth tore down everything they built on lies. The truth made people listen when I told my story. The truth brought my real name back to me. People in town still whisper. Some say I was ungrateful. Others say I should have stayed quiet to protect the Broussards' reputation. But reputation is just another word for performance. I'm done performing. Now, I speak at adoption reform panels. I write essays. I help other people caught in the same kind of silence. I tell them, you're not ungrateful for wanting the truth. You're not wrong for asking where you came from. You're not selfish for wanting to be whole. The Broussards wanted me to disappear inside their version of me, but I didn't. I surfaced, and now I live in the light, not as a lost girl. Not as a stolen secret, but as Lena Lee, the woman who broke the cycle, reclaimed her voice, and burned the script they tried to write for her. So no, I didn't get revenge the way they feared. I got something better. I got my life back. If this story moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that truth has power, and healing is possible, even after deep betrayal. Leave a comment below. What would you do if you uncovered a hidden past like Lena's? Subscribe for more real-life inspired stories filled with resilience, revelation, and redemption.